Let me hit you with this starring lineup. Adolph Caesar, Denzel Washington, Howard Rollins, David Allen Greer, Larry Riley, Robert Townsend, Art Evans, Wings Hauser, Dennis Lipscomb, William Allen Young, and Patti LaBelle as Big Mary in the 1984 classic film, A Soldier Story. This is Brother Heath L. Griot's Corner, back to Black Classic Film Review. And on this evening, we're going to be reviewing a classic film entitled A Soldier Story. 1984, it's a mystery film set in Louisiana during World War II. Howard Rollins, the late great Howard Rollins, who went on to star in the television series In the Heat of the Night, portrays Captain Richard Davenport, who is an attorney and a captain in the Army who is sent to Louisiana to investigate the murder of Sergeant Vernon Waters, who's portrayed by the late great Adolph Caesar. And what's interesting about Sergeant Waters is hard-nosed, he's highly disciplined, but he's fierce in how Black soldiers, Black people in particular, but definitely Black soldiers, should portray themselves and how they should be presented. The major impetus, of course, in this film is the dynamic of the relationship that Sergeant Waters has with C.J. Memphis, who is considered to be, in Sergeant Waters' view, a buffoon, a clown, a caricature. C.J. is the star baseball player on their intramural baseball team. He's a talented musician on top of that, who loves to tell stories of his upbringing, and these kinds of caricature fixtures are things that Sergeant Waters heavily looks down upon and sets up CJ. Don't want to give too many spoiler alerts, but I will give this one if you haven't seen it. He sets CJ up and has him convicted of a crime that he did not commit. And of course, I won't tell you what ultimately happens with CJ, but for those of you who've seen it, you know the tragic end that CJ had. But it led to greater animosity between the soldiers in his regiment and himself. His major, I guess you could say, adversary among the regiment was Private First Class Peterson, who's portrayed by Denzel Washington, who is adamantly against how Sergeant Waters has treated CJ, with what CJ has endured under his leadership, and how he really set CJ up. And all of the regiment, entire regiment, witnessed how he set CJ up for his tragic end. This is a remarkable story. If you remember, there also was a stage play. Many of these actors who were in the movie adaptation was also in the original stage play. Again, this was one of Denzel Washington's first major film roles. And again, he wasn't the star in the movie. Believe it or not, there was actually movies that Denzel Washington did not star in. In fact, the lead actor in this movie was the late, great Howard Rollins, who portrays Captain Richard Davenport. And again, it goes through him conducting this investigation to find out who liked Waters, who hated Waters. And then, of course, he comes to the dramatic conclusion, which I will not give away at the end, as to who was actually responsible for Sergeant Vernon Waters' death, his murder, if you will. A Soldier Story, again, captured in the 40s. Again, historically, this was not for Black military servicemen who came back home after serving overseas in World War II. They were met with extreme racial prejudice and bigotry. They even had to deal with it in the regiment. Many of them When they went to Europe, they discovered that they were accepted, that they were being embraced and adapted. Some of them even had relationships over in Europe with European women. Some of them even had children. But it showed that they knew that they had to stick together. And so the regiment in this movie, A Soldier Story, was vehemently against the way Sergeant Waters came after CJ, because they felt like we're already catching enough grief as it is being black men in the military, and now you're gonna go after one of our own, But again, Sergeant Waters comes from that class of thinking amongst some Black Americans who feel like you do not need to show yourself in disarming or buffoonish, or what they would consider to be a caricature or a buffoonish, clownish character. Sergeant Waters felt that Blacks needed to be highlighted for their intelligence, for their command of the language, for how they carry themselves in adverse situations. And he felt like CJ took the Black race backwards. He did not help them progress forward. And so his actions and his bitterness and distrust and dislike towards CJ was based on that paradigm. Then there's a train of thought within the Black community that says, listen, we're not monolithic. Everyone has their place. Everyone has their worth and their value. And just because someone has not been educated or does not come from a background where they were educated or considered amongst W.B. Du Bois's talented 10th does not mean that they don't have significant worth and value. And so these two trains of thought is what is indirectly, well, a little bit directly with Sergeant Waters, but somewhat indirectly overall. It doesn't give a direct social commentary, but it deals with that complexity that unfortunately still exists within the Black community, where there are those who feel like if you are not of a certain pedigree, then you shouldn't be honored, you shouldn't be respected, you shouldn't even be regarded. You should be disregarded and forgotten. And so this is what A Soldier Story captures. And so if you have not seen this movie, please go check out A Soldier Story. I know we've been doing Back to Black Classic Film Review. We were doing it during the month of February, but as we, within the Black community, remind those outside of the Black community, Black History Month is not for Black people, it's for people outside of our community who have the opportunity during Black History Month to get to know some nuances about who we are as a people. A Soldier Story captures that, which is why it's so significantly important to lift up Back to Black classic films, because it gives sort of a, not a specific, but a general perspective on some of the complexities that happen within the Black community. A Soldier Story deals with that beautifully. Outstanding performances, we can't say enough. Adolph Caesar's performance as Vernon Waters, Sergeant Vernon Waters, is breathtaking, life-changing, if you will, life-altering, if you will. The late, great Howard Rollins, who plays Captain Richard Davenport, his portrayal was outstanding. All of the portrayals, and of course, Denzel Washington as Private First Class Peterson, his portrayal was remarkable as well. He was a standout even in this film. And so these performances were outstanding, a beautiful story. Go check it out if you haven't gone to see it. Don't want to give the ending away, just in case somebody who's watching who has never seen A Soldier Story, so that you'll go see it and see the complexities and the outstanding performances captured in this tremendous film. This is Brother Heath Bell, Back to Black Classic Film Review from the Griot's Corner. Hope to see you again very soon. Hit that subscribe button real quick, if you will, and look forward to more Back to Black Classic Film Reviews, spoken word, and other film reviews coming your way. Peace and blessings.